So these are things that I think need to be true in order for change to be possible. And I'm going to go through them in no particular order, but they're 4 things that the organizations that we have encountered that have got a long way fast with their digital transformation have and managed to align. So let's start with leadership, which I definitely saw written on loads of post-its, and is kind of, I mean, Ellen, Julia will tell you, this is like my thing. I can talk for ages about leadership. So what you need, an important precondition for whether we want to call it agile success or digital transformation, is leadership. And you need someone who is willing to spend their finite little p political capital on work that is about reforming the organization itself. And this can be hard to come across because most people who get to the top have a specific cause or a vision that they believe in, and that's what they want to spend their political capital on. And they necessarily have a bit less interest in how the organization itself works. This is something I've seen firsthand, like about 5,000 million times. Another way of putting this is that digital needs to be at the top of the agenda, and you need a senior champion who gets it and is really prepared to create the space for you to work differently. One of the teams I was in at COUK, the one I was in with Elle and Julia, in fact, was led by a chap called Rob, and his job was essentially to protect us from noise and persuade other people to let us get on with what we were doing. And that worked really well. But what we realized increasingly more was that we needed that influence to go all the way to the top of our organization. And that is the part of the puzzle that I guess I'm chipping away at now and trying to address with NHS Trust in my current job. And looking at your post-its, it looks like it's something that sort of resonates with, I hope it resonates with your experiences. So that's condition number 1. Condition number 2 is you need a team, or indeed teams. So as well as your leaders, you need your people who are actually going to do the work. And at Public Digital, we use the phrase mandate and a movement a lot. And what we mean by this is that digital transformation has to be bottom up as much as it is top down. And you need the energy coming from both of those places. You need teams, and the teams need to contain, we call them internet era skills, which I think is a little bit jargony. What I mean by that is you need, half of it is you need certain kinds of skills. So you need like practical digital skills like user research and service design and product management, and how you do cloud technology and all that kind of thing. But you also, and arguably more importantly than that, need teams with particular behaviors and characteristics. So teams, they must be empowered. They need to be cross-functional and have lots of different disciplines in them. And they need, according to what it is you're trying to achieve, and you need a shared goal. And then the people in the team themselves need to be people that are open to learning new things, know how to be user-centered and valued that, and comfortable with things like working iteratively and working openly and honestly sharing what's happening. And in my experience, that's kind of the harder, more valuable bit, because the other bits are things that people find easier to learn. Like, I think it's easier to learn how to become an amazing user researcher than it is to learn how to be open-minded, if that's not your starting point. The other thing I think worth mentioning is that somewhat, I don't know, counterintuitively, change begins with small, empowered, multidisciplinary teams. So I'm talking about change at scale, but it starts with that one small, empowered team. And when you start small with that team and that team is working in the open and working really hard to make what they're doing visible and, talk about it honestly, that's how you start to gather momentum, which you can capitalize on to enable that scaling and sustainability. Condition number 3 is a mission. So in order to change the status quo, you need a mission that is suitably and realistically ambitious and, visionary, that tells people you're going somewhere better. In order to get people to believe that mission, though, you have to demonstrate that you're able to deliver and you can get stuff done. And for that, what you need is a single, clear, meaningful, understandable goal that is going to bring people with you. And that's because the change that comes with agile and digital is a human one. It's a social, cultural change. Yes, it is about technology, yes, it is about ways of working, but really it's about people. And so you need something that's simple and clear that people will get behind, and and then can use to prioritize and make decisions. And at COUK, I was part of loads of teams where the initial goal was something quite solution focused, like you need to build a tool that is going to do X. And we would spend a lot of time as a whole team figuring out what the intended outcome was underneath that thing that we needed to do, so that we all really understood what the change that we were trying to create was. And sometimes we got so into that we would sort of lack the thing that helps you scale this ways of working, which is that commitment to a wider mission that links your sort of organizational purpose to the change you're looking to create, which makes it hard to persuade people to do things differently and makes it harder to make the change stick. So what's your big picture goal in terms of where you're trying to get to? You'll have your like actual organizational goal, what you exist to do. What's your goal around an appetite around the organization changing to enable that goal? And then what's the thing you're going to deliver to show people that you can do it, to form that small team, to get people excited and like believing it? And then condition number 4, which I mean, I find this one hard to say out loud given the last 2.5 years we've all had. But when you're trying to change anything, you're challenging the status quo. And as you know, challenging the status quo is hard. And a crisis will offer you a brief opportunity in which to do that, because it's when things are chaotic and have gone wrong, you don't need to make your case for change in the same way. You've just got to respond and you've got to do it. And I mean, we've all seen what's changed and what's been made possible over the course of the pandemic. And I mean, it's certainly true that there is nothing like a crisis to really focus the mind and make people prioritize. The good news is it doesn't have to be a global pandemic level of crisis for you to be able to capitalize on that and make change. So it's really about where are the windows of opportunity where it's very easy to see that life could be better right now, and the inertia is maybe not quite so powerful and strong. And again, it's going to come back to who are the people that want to change and have the appetite, and that can be, the sort of the thing this hangs around. What I have to mention is that I didn't come up with these. This is a framing that I have learned since being at Public Digital, and I found just resonated so much with my experience at Cancer Research UK and what I see in the NHS now. And there's actually a book which I have in front of me called Digital Transformation at Scale, which explains those 4 concepts in more detail. And like, this is basically a playbook for transformation, and I found it so helpful.